Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by advertising a notice in the Star Gazette and the Express Times and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Roll call, please.
Yes, Councilman Belcaro.
Here.
Councilman Toledo.
Here.
Councilman Wright.
Here.
Council President Pryor.
Here.
Chairman Russo.
Here. Need a motion to come out of executive session?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The council was in executive session for approximately an hour. The topics of discussion were, number one, litigation, Phillipsburg sewer, number two, a personnel matter, and number four, attorney-client privilege, Phillipsburg Mall. So there will be another executive session at the end of the meeting. The minutes from executive session will be available at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. There is one matter that came out of executive session, if council would like to do it now. It is a resolution authorizing and directing the Planning Board of the Township of Lopatcong to undertake a preliminary investigation to determine whether a certain area within the township is a redevelopment area. And for those of you who don't have a copy of this, it is the Phillipsburg Mall. So if council wishes to handle that now, you can.
I do wish to handle it, and I'll make the motion.
I would just add to that the cost to Lopatcong Township for this investigation not to exceed $2,000.
I think that's fine.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes. Councilman Belcaro.
Yes.
Councilman Toledo.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Council President Pryor.
Yes.
Chairman Russo.
Yes.
If I could, Mayor, I think there's really two that came out of the closed session. The other is authorizing our attorney, or the expert witness on P-Bird.
I have a conflict, so I wasn't in executive for that one.
Okay.
That's why you said one.
Okay.
All right, we'll handle that one
No,
later. All right.
if you can
wanna handle
make
it
the
now?
motion, I just can't describe it because I don't...
Yeah, as Katrina said, and she didn't sit on it, one of the discussions in closed session was our lawsuit with Phillipsburg over sewer fees. And I'd like to make a motion to authorize an additional $5,000 for our expert.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcaro.
Yes.
Councilman Toledo.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Council President Pryor.
Yes.
Chairman Russo.
Yes. Folks, any public comment on agenda items only at this time? John?
My name is John Betts. I live over at 225 Red School Lane in Brakely Gardens. And I just have a question, just a simple comment I'd like to make on the ordinance, the second reading and hearing of the author. Wait a minute now. The 1805 second reading and public hearing on affordable housing prior round and third round obligations. Basically, I could either ask it now, or I could wait till the public discussion on it.
Yes, no one?
Doesn't matter whatever.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All this is a very simple question. Does anybody, do we have, or does anybody know who the municipal housing liaison is under Section 18 in this town right now?
As of right now,
Yes.
it is Ms. Dills.
Okay, and will it
There's been other
change?
people in the past, and we can change it in the
And it
future,
can
but I
change.
believe right now it is.
Okay. All right, okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
More of a paperwork processor,
Yes.
so she has to be on top of it anyway,
Yes.
so we give her that extra.
Yes, okay. Okay, thanks, Katrina.
Anyone else? Questions or comments on the agenda items? Seeing none, moving to old business. Number one is approve executive and regular session minutes for April 4th and budget meeting minutes for April 5th, 2018.
I have one correction on the regular session minutes, if I could.
Go ahead.
I don't have them in front of me, but I read them, Beth, and I think I said something like I've worked with Cole Blandino before in the Clean Water Council.
Okay.
I don't know if I've worked with Cole. I've worked with Trout Unlimited.
Oh, okay. And I did make a couple adjustments to the executive session minutes, and they're very simple. And I did put a copy in your
Packet.
packet.
Okay. what they were exactly?
Pardon?
Do you want to read what they were exactly?
No, they're executive session.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Based on Joe's recommendation, do we have anybody else? Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Well, I didn't have a motion.
Well, Joe made the motion.
Why, are we approving all three at once?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I make a motion, we approve all three sets of minutes as amended.
That was Councilman Wright.
Yeah, I second.
Yes.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Frida?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Chairman Goodchief?
Yes. Number 2 is Resolution 18-71 to authorize the appointment of Tyler Plesnarski as police officer pursuant to Civil Service Certified List of eligibles.
I'll make that motion.
I will second the motion. Give a second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Chairman Goodchief?
Number 3, ordinance number 18-03, second reading and public hearing on bond ordinance appropriating $740,000 to finance tax appeal refunds. That is on the, go ahead.
Yes, this is the Larkin Tax Appeals, Delaware Crossing, Warren Heights, and Bellevue. Appeals spanning 2010 through present day. This will cover everything, and this will take care of all of it. So you've already entered the settlement agreement, but we had to go to local finance board to get approval to borrow this money. So this is the final agreement.
Do a motion
To hold a public hearing.
to hold a public hearing on this? Anybody
I need a motion.
need to know anything else?
I'll make that motion.
Pryor and Belcarro second.
Folks, questions, comments on the tax appeal?
Katrina, this is to be repaid over 5 years?
Yes, we get a 5-year
5 years.
payback from the deals, yes.
Need a motion to close the public hearing?
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Motion to act.
Need a motion to act on it?
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance authorizing the bonds in the amount of $740,000.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito? Yes. Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Chairman Goodchief?
Yes. Number 4 is ordinance number 18-04, second reading and public hearing to establish the cap bank. Need a motion for public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Folks, questions, comments on number 4? Seeing none, motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion on the ordinance.
I'll move to adopt the ordinance.
Second?
Second.
Roll call. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Chairman Goodchief?
Yes. Number 5 is ordinance number 18-05, second reading and public hearing on Township's affordable housing, prior round and third round obligations. Need a motion to open up for public hearing?
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Folks, question, comments?
This is the overarching resolution, ordinance that covers all of your changes that were made as a result of the settlement for your affordable housing for the third round.
Which we've now met all our obligations, correct?
Yes, and you have credits for next round.
Good.
And we're good till when?
You're good through 2025 in this round, and you've got about 40 credits that will span into the next round. So you'll be sitting significantly better than every other municipality around you.
And you consider the settlement that was made very fair, favorable on our,
Lopatcong Township did a good job to provide for affordable housing before they were told they had to. So you were doing, a lot of towns, because it was uncertain, sat back, and you just continued to get what you could from developers that were coming in. So you were in a great position, and we just had to deal with a couple of little bumps, but we got to settlement.
Folks, any questions, comments? Seeing none, need a motion to close?
Motion.
Second? Second. Need a motion on ordinance number 18-05. Motion. Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Chairman Goodchief?
Yes. Number 6, ordinance number 18-06, second reading and public hearing, authorizing sale of real property known as Block 2, Lot 44.03. Need a motion for public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
This is this is the piece of property in front of Dr. Jorley's office that was part of the intersection we're giving it to the county.
Okay. Folks, questions, comments? Seeing none, motion to close.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion on the ordinance 1806.
Motion.
Second?
Now second it.
Councilman Valcarro.
Yes.
Councilman Toledo.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Council President Pryor.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Number 7 is to authorize execution of an amended developers agreement for 189 Strikers Road.
So this was authorized originally and executed in December of 2017. This is an amendment. There was a change in the law regarding performance guarantees and what we can actually require. So the only thing that changed to this agreement is the exhibit that attaches Paul's estimate of how much needed to be bonded. So it's all in accordance with the new law.
Okay, have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Valcarro.
Yes.
Councilman Toledo.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Council President Pryor.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Under new business, number 1 is to introduce our 2018 budget. Ken, you're on. Put the microphone in front of you so we can hear you, please.
Can you hear me?
Well, we may not want to, but that's...
Can you hear me now? Yeah, we're here tonight to introduce the 2018 Lopatcong Township budget. It is a total of $8,190,796.34. It is an increase of $124,000 over last year's 2017 budget. Some of that increases were having to do with the pension that the state mandates.
Yep,
Most of that increase was.
okay.
An amount to be raised by taxation is $4,958,842. We used a little more, anticipated a little more in surplus to come with complete and, I think, a fiscally sound budget this year.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to make any other comments over that?
Your budget is currently compliant with both the expenditure cap and the tax levy cap. The average local taxpayer assessed at approximately $231,000 will see a 2-cent, well, everybody will see a 2-cent increase to the rate, but for the average local taxpayer, that means $46 for the year, or approximately $3.86 for a month. If you introduce tonight, the adoption or the hearing on the budget will take place on June 2nd. At that time, public comment is welcome, and any questions are welcome as well.
Will the budget be available for inspection by
I
everyone?
provided Ms. Diltz with 10 copies of the budget. Some have to go to the state, but there'll be a budget in-house, and I think there's a PDF floating around as well that'll go up on the website.
Is that June 6th? June 6th is, I think, a Wednesday.
June 6th or June 2nd?
June 2nd's weekend, I think.
Maybe I had that wrong.
6.
June 6th.
John just really wants to
June
work.
6th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do so much for Lopatcong, I want to be here. So if you open the door, I'll be here.
Folks, I think it's a fair budget. Obviously, we want to put a little bit more money in surplus. We seem to have covered all our expenses. We've talked about getting some roads done. It absolutely must happen. That's probably my hot button sitting up here. We've all been down Red School Lane, Baltimore Street, but we also need to get to our residential neighborhoods too. Morris Park was never finished back in 2007. Delaware Park, Rose Hill Heights, Brakely Park were all done at that time. So the people in Morris Park have suffered. First, Second, and Third Street over here are not bad, obviously. They've been done, but I think we did 6th Street last year?
6th Street.
6th Street got capped last year, so that's where we're headed. Dana Street, then the rest of them are just, they're shot. Nothing's been done probably in 40 years in some of these places, so You get down to Greystone, Briarstone, that area down there by the brass rail, those roads haven't been done either. So I think we need, well, we all travel from whatever neighborhood you're coming from, we all travel Baltimore and Red School Lane. I had asked Paul last meeting to get me a price on Red School Lane. It's $450,000 to mill that down and pave it from 57 to 519. In my head, not knowing a whole lot about it, I was figuring $1 million, so I was kind of happy. $450,000 is a lot of money, but again, Red School Lane has not been touched. It just hasn't been done probably 30 years. I don't know when it was done last, but if we don't do something in the next couple of years, we're going to lose it altogether, and then you're talking about a total reconstruction, and then we will hit that $1 million figure that I had in my head. So we want to try and avoid that, but obviously keeping, we're all taxpayers up here too, so we've got fire companies, we've got police departments, and we try to keep everything. We have a couple new cars coming for our police department. With an operation this size, I think we need to buy something, and it needs to be an I don't think we're ever going to get to the point where we got to tell our chief of police or our police department we're not buying anything for 5 years, and then all of a sudden now instead of 2 cars every year, you got to buy 5 or 6 at once. It just doesn't work that way. So I think it's a fair budget. I want to thank Kim because she's been very diligent in putting this together. This is my first budget as your mayor. Kim is new to us at the beginning of the year. So we had, well, I'm not a rookie at this. I am as your mayor. So we've had, what, 4 CFOs in the last, I don't know how many years. So we're trying to put some stability back in the township. I mean, in my 15 years on council, I served under 2 CFOs, and since from the time I left to the time I got back, I think there were 3 or 4 here. So we want to put some stability back, and I feel like Kim's done an excellent job doing that. So kudos to her for helping us out. So that being said, anybody else have any comments up here? Do we need a motion?
No, our target was 2 cents, and we stuck to that. And there's compromises in every budget. Tried to treat the fire department fairly this year. They were in need of equipment to function.
Yeah.
And I think next year the outlook is good. We got new ratables coming on. We got a farmland assessment we should see rolled over next year. So I think next year the outlook is good.
We put some more money back in our sewer account too that we had tapped over the years to balance our budget. So we've got a good budget, and we put some back in the sewer account, so we didn't tap that this year to balance our budget. So that being said, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to introduce the budget.
Second.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Toledo?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Melucci?
Yes. Number 2 is to approve 2 new programs at the Lopat Pool, training certification program for lifeguards and formal swim lesson program as outlined. Everyone make that motion?
I will make that motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilman
All
Belcarro?
right, Steve, can you just explain?
You want to explain what you got going on there, Beth?
We got some room for the discussion here.
So
Thank you.
Lopatcong
Thank you.
has always had an abundance of lifeguards applying for jobs, over the 20 years that, we've been operating the pool. And last year was the first time that, we had a problem, with staffing with lifeguards. So we wanted to, introduce a program wherein we would train and certify lifeguards right here in Lopatcong. We would then be able to hire them, to service, the pool over the summer season. So our swim team coach, who is a lifeguard, been working with the swim team for many, many years, he became certified to be an instructor. So he's going to do that for us, and we're also going to have a formal swim lesson program. We always, provide swim lessons to kids, both private and in groups. But this year we're going to do a little more, formalize it a little better, and we'll probably, follow the Red Cross's program, which we'll be allowed to do.
Okay.
So it's a win-win. A little revenue will come in from both of those programs also.
That's good, and we'd like to publicly thank Mr. Drake for doing that. I know he was involved in our school board for a while too, so.
Yeah. Amen.
All right. Do you need a motion?
Yeah, we need a motion.
I made a motion on that.
But we had the motion and
Yeah,
a
we
second,
just
that
did
was
roll call.
discussion.
Okay, yeah, roll call.
Just a vote.
Call that. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Pinto?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Menounos?
Yes. Number 3 is to authorize Mayor Mengucci to execute agreement with Red Cross for lifeguard training certification program.
Yeah, I don't have that agreement yet. I had to fill out a questionnaire and send it over to them. So if you could just authorize it pursuant to our attorney reviewing it, you know, that would be better.
That's fine. That's fine.
I can make that motion.
Second? Second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Menounos?
Yes. Ordinance number 18-07 to establish a title of supervising lifeguard and rate of $15 per hour for lifeguard training and swim lesson program.
And that's what we'll be paying Mr. Drake, and that is his civil service title.
Okay.
I will make that motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Menounos?
Yes. Number 5 is a resolution to charge fee of $275 per participant in certified lifeguarding program.
That is the fee that each person who would want to take part in the program will pay.
Have a motion? Motion. Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Menounos?
Yes. Number 6 is resolution 18-72 to authorize an increase in pay rate from $7.25 an hour to $7.50 per hour for camp counselors working in the Recreation Commission and employees working in the pool snack bar. Have a motion?
I make the motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Menounos?
Yes. Number 7 is to adopt addendum number 1 to the LAA bylaws.
I have a question maybe before we take the motion. Katrina, maybe you can answer me. This comes out of our contract with LAA?
Yes, so you have, I think it was the addendum number 2.
Oh, is it?
So
It's
you have
labeled
a
number
contract
1.
with that.
It is label number 1.
It should be number 2. But you had one last year. So you have a contract with the LEA, and then in it, every year, you add an addendum, and in it, they offer to do certain things for the township, and the town offers to pay them a certain amount in exchange for whatever it is that they're offering.
So this is the services for stipend addendum we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think last year
What's the
was-
number, $10,000?
I don't know.
Well, it is $10,000. You have it in your packet.
Okay.
And it talks about 5 different things. Some of it seems to be already in the contract. I was a little confused, so, it's just repetitive, so I don't know what really the change is.
So I think last year, some of the things they agreed to do was chaperone a certain number of dances. They were going to paint the pavilion, which got a little delayed till this year, but that's still.
Well,
for last
that
year.
should be a holdover. We did
Yes,
pay
so
them
that's still,
the full amount from last year.
yes, no, that they still have to do. So this should all be new things that they have to do this year.
Okay, I see they've started painting the bathhouse.
Here it is. So lining the fields for all sports, materials and labor, paying 1/2 of the cost for all portable bathrooms for the athletic fields. Yeah, location shall be approved by the DPW supervisor before put in place. Responsible for ensuring that the bases are available for all users of the field. Due to risk of loss, the bases shall not be left out all season, however, they must be available for all users. The LEA will be responsible for coordinating with each user to make sure they're available. Shall be responsible for preparing the field house and concession stand and sheds for winter. Shall provide community service activities in township through 2018, including painting the outside of the pavilion, sealing the pavilion floor. Once building is prepared for painting and sealing by the DPW, assisting and participating in Community Day and its preparations, and chaperoning at least 5 pool dances. At least 10 chaperones must be provided for each dance. So that's what they're offering for their $10,000.
A couple of questions. Brian, maybe could, the Public Works used to line the fields back when they were under our arm here,
Right, that's correct.
so they're gonna take care of that. The portable bathroom sharing, that's a new item, isn't it?
I'm not so
No?
aware.
that was there.
Last year?
Yeah, well, we split that.
They're gonna take care of lining the fields. We're still dragging them?
Use of football
It
season.
wasn't, they were supposed to take over
We
everything.
just can't winterize it until after football.
I had a meeting with them the other night,
Yeah.
and that's not what's happening.
Okay.
So,
You need to let me know where you want to go with things.
were you dragging those fields before?
Well, we did everything.
Okay.
All right, last year, they handled everything, they drug them, they lined them, they did everything.
How much of a workload is that on you to drag all the fields twice a week?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you want from us, you know what I mean?
Yankee Stadium.
What's that?
Yeah, everybody wants Yankee Stadium, you know that.
I agree. Depends on where you want to go. I mean, I will do our best for you, you know that.
Okay.
LAA knows that.
Well, you've done it in the past. What I'm asking you is twice a week too much to ask of you?
We drug them every time we line them.
Okay.
If you're asking me if it's too much,
Um,
that's the way you throw what's coming down the road. I mean,
Yeah, well, we
what we do. I mean,
we don't know that, but
We'll do our best.
what I'm saying to you is that,
I'd really rather not, but if you're asking me, the answer is
yeah,
yes.
okay, all right.
I'm hearing a little confusion over the scope myself, and I just as much table this till we get,
Maybe you'd like to see a list of what they did last year and what they plan to do this year, so you can see what's new, what
well, I would.
was taken out.
Okay.
That's just me, but,
That's fine.
yeah.
I'd rather have clear direction than,
Confusion.
yep, so we will table it.
I know it was deep in the last year before we had agreed to this, so I think another month long.
Okay. Everybody agree with that? That's good? All right. Number 8 is the sinkhole remediation Phillipsburg High School roadway improvement project.
Yes, Mayor, over the last few weeks, a significant sinkhole developed adjacent to one of the traffic signal poles that was installed as part of that particular project. The sinkhole, based on some ground penetrating radar that was done, extends around and beneath the signal pole at this point. It's my opinion that I do not think the Public Works Department has the equipment to be able to deal with that situation. I would like to hire the contractor that we had hired to do that project. That would be Zuccaro, to come in and actually do that excavation around the pole, expose the throat of the sinkhole, and then remediate the sinkhole, and then restore the area that's disturbed as a result of the investigation to find the throat at this point. So that's why this is on the agenda tonight, to get your permission to do that. And I've talked to Sal Zuccaro, and he is amenable to coming in and helping the township to get this rectified.
Okay. Based on Paul's recommendation, do I have a motion?
Motion?
I'll second it.
Roll call. Councilman Belcarro.
Yes.
Councilman Polito.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Council President Pryor.
Yes.
Mayor Mickey.
Before I abstain, I want the public to know that I am the Director of Facilities for the Phillipsburg School District, so I'm going to abstain so as not to appear improper. All right. Number 9, approved quote from Flying Locksmiths in the amount of $2,883.25 to change the locks for the entire pool facility and the pavilion. Brian, Chief, what kind of activity are we getting up there as far as break-ins and whatnot? Because if it's a question of people that have keys, I'd rather get some accountability from those people than spend $2,800 and probably end up in the same position that we're in now.
We can't, if I may.
Go ahead, sure, absolutely.
Chief, I'd like to give you a little bit of the history there is, we had some problems, people were breaking into the field house.
Right.
All right, they're coming into the pool at certain times. All right, what we're finding is
we give you, making it up here, please. I'm giving, Lou a key, he needs one, it's his job, all right? He gives it to the next guy, and just to borrow for a day or whatever for an instant, somebody makes a copy of it, all right? So meanwhile, I got so many copies that there's everybody in town's got one, all right? So we changed them. Roundabout we go again, okay? If you go up there now, you will find that I put, you can't pick the door anymore. There's a latch across
Put a
the
plate on it?
It is, somebody's changing my tumblers on me. Somebody matched the field house to the pool keys. All right, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And I ended up just saying, well, maybe I have the wrong key, and we're next to each other. I grabbed it, put it in. Okay, so talking to Beth and talking to the chief and different things, we're aware we can't figure things out where to go. So what we decided was, because there's some things going on at the pool also, that we would look into making them keys that cannot be duplicated, okay? And holding those that have that key accountable, all right? If you hand it out for any reason, all right, you lose that key type mentality, okay? So what we did is we went out and we asked the one company to come in, and they gave me like an $85,000 or $100 bill, and I'm like, my jaw hit the ground. All right, I'm like, are you kidding me? So I asked them to give me another price on just, I don't want to say what it is, but it's a different style key.
Right.
Okay, and that came in at like $4,500 or something in that fashion. I don't remember exact pricing on that. So I decided to go out and check. I decided to reach out of what we normally use for the municipal building, and we keep that structure firm there. I decided to try, and I researched another company, and they're called the Flying Locksmith, and they're all over the place. They're in Boston, Connecticut, here, they're all over the place, big company. And what they did is they will make me keys and change me locks, do everything by the book, for the price of $2,883.25. All right. I think all it takes is one person to go in that pool, fall in that pool, and we've spent more than that. I think if somebody goes in and wrecks your field house, I'll give you an example of what's going on in the field house. In the winter time, the bathrooms are shut down. Somebody's filling the whole toilets up to the top with crap. Okay, I got to go in and fix them, fill them, empty them all out. Welcome to my world. I'll leave that rest alone. Okay, so I got to stop it somehow. Whether you put cameras around in a little different scenario there.
And not blaming you and just playing devil's advocate.
No,
obviously it happened before.
It's happened many times.
What's going to stop it from happening again?
Well, what we've done is these keys are a special type of key, even more than what your house is down here. Mm-hmm. All right, and it's kind of a trial a little bit for that area, that nobody can just duplicate them. They can't be duplicated. The most you can do is hand them out. Okay. And I think we need to start if we start finding problems, not breaking in, I can't stop. People can break in that. All right, that's just, kids being kids.
What concerns me is you said that people were changing the tumblers, having some background in this.
Well, what I did for that,
hear me out a second. I have what I call a core key,
right,
where I can go and I can pull a core out of a door, and that core will be marked. It may say A2, A3, whatever.
Right.
It depends on the school that I'm in.
Right.
And that will tell me what key I need for that. Now, I obviously have a master key, but
that's where we're headed. That's exactly.
So somebody, if you're saying that people change
somebody knew what
somebody's got a core key.
Somebody's got something, and we needed to change something here. So what I did, and it stopped it dead in its tracks. It showed me that they didn't have everything, because they make a ball that goes over the knob and it locks.
Yep.
Okay. I put them on and it stopped. So it told me they only had access to what was there. All right. It showed me that something's changing. All right. Or somebody went on and moved, or chose a different path. But I don't know where else to go. The reason why those boards are on that window up there.
Yep.
All right, is because somebody broke those windows up.
Right.
Okay. I can't stop vandalism.
No, that's
the chief's job afterwards. But I don't know where else to go, guys.
How many people have authorization to have the key?
Well, that's something we have to discuss right now when we sit down and do all that. Right now, and I'm going to use you, Sean, if I may. All right. We know that the Athletic Association's got a lot of keys out there. We made the keys, we numbered them, they were handed out to people. I can tell you, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, somebody went in the field house. Okay. I can tell you that somebody asked me for my keys, my whole set. All right, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you nuts? So what it showed me was that the keys are being handed out, and the potential, I mean, my keys are the whole town, you know what I mean, and the things. So, I think we need, it's just in my opinion, if you got it somewhere else, you want to sit down and talk about it, you want to go in a different direction, I'm okay, but we've got to create a safety factor here that's more than just a regular house key.
And what I would ask is, you know, again, there are pool employees, there are LAA people, you know, obviously the LAA people need to get in the field house.
Well, correct, I think.
You can limit that to, you can get in certain parts, maybe not the concession stand. Same thing with the pool. You'll give the LAA or a member of the LAA something they can't get in the pool. So you can.
Well, they're gonna all have their own separate key, it's not gonna be one key for everything.
That's correct.
Yeah, everything's gonna have, I mean, I'm using again Sean, because Sean's actually the LAA maintenance guy for fields and stuff, guys, so you understand that. All right. He needs to get into the kitchen, he needs to get into the field house garage doors, he needs to get into my garage. All right, or your garage, if you want to word it that way.
Right.
All right, because he needs to use our pickup truck. All right, so he needs keys on the Saturdays, Sundays, whenever he's got the time and all work to drag and do those fields. He needs, at nights, he needs access. All right, so he's going to have a set of keys that's a little different than a coach that just needs to get into...
Get bases or something.
Yeah, right, and then Sean oversees that on top of it, that before anybody can go in, they're going to have to call you, correct?
I oversee it now, but when that stuff would come before, I did not oversee it.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah. Well, and trust me, I know it's a big deal. Again, with the school district, I mean, I got keys. Everybody's got a key.
Sure.
You know, the only key that I don't have, because I requested not to have it, is for the school store. There's no reason for me to be in the school store, none.
Right.
Is there any cameras in that area at all?
I'd rather talk to that in private.
Okay.
If you don't mind. All right, that's somewhere executive. All right.
Okay.
I know what you want to go, but that's why it is where it is. I think we did your diligence in pricing, so.
Yeah, it almost sounds, based on what I know, it sounds very cheap. Chief, do you have anything to add?
Over the past year or so, we have had, Brian has reported several different incidents. You know, I really do think it is a situation where just the number of keys that have been handed out and the turnover in employees and things of that nature have caused there to be
So it's
keys that are not been returned.
So it's more from things missing than it is from any forced entry or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Have a motion? Number 9?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Second. Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Menducci?
Yes. Number 10, approve the TWA for Larkin Associates, Autumn Ridge Development, per letter of approval from Dan Madden, sewer engineer.
I'm going to have to recuse myself on that one.
Okay.
I worked for
Yep.
JMT a number of years.
Have a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
I abstain.
Mayor Menducci?
Yes. Number 11 is resolution approving shared services agreement with Washington Township for sharing the animal control officer vehicle. That's something new?
How much is that?
We may want to discuss that in executive.
Okay.
What?
We may want to discuss that in executive.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
contractual.
So we want to table it for now?
Yes.
All right, we'll table number 11.
I think Joe wanted to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, the way it was written, it wasn't clear to me.
Okay. Number 12, ordinance number 18-08. First reading to revise, amend, and supplement Chapter 227 entitled Vehicles and Traffic, specifically 33B to revise language in Zone 2 and 3 on Strikers Road. Paul?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm handing out is an excerpt of your tax map, which depicts the current reduced speed limit zone for the school on Strikers Road, and that's in orange.
And the reason why we're doing this ordinance is the orange area does not correlate with NJDOT regulations, nor the Manual Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is a federal publication. Under those particular publications or regulations, a school zone is supposed to start 200 feet from the boundaries of a school property or 200 feet from a school crossing. So the north end of the school zone in orange, when you get near Powderhorn Drive, is in compliance with that, but the south end is way off. It's as if the reduced school speed limit zone got shifted northward. So the area in yellow represents the area that should be added to the school zone, and has to be done by ordinance. So your ordinance tonight would correct the situation that currently exists.
Just for a visual, where would that put that sign in regards to where it's at now?
Closer to Baltimore, right?
Yeah, I think the left portion of the yellow strip there that I have shown on this tax map excerpt would align with the beginning of that flashing school speed limit sign that exists out there around the curve. And just so you know, if it doesn't exactly align up, one of the things that we're looking to do under the Safe Routes to School project is actually rebuild that sign, and we could align it with the beginning of that school zone if need be.
Because if you're pulling out of Baltimore Street, making a left, heading toward the number 2 fire department, you really can't see it.
That's correct.
You know, so.
The driveway into the school property, that actually sits in the yellow now? Or-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very little of the school frontage on Strikers Road is in the school zone, as this lays out. Another problem with the ordinance, it uses the word approximate. It says approximately 500 feet from Powderhorn Drive. You can't have that. We need to be specific in the distances that we put in the ordinance. So that's another thing that would be corrected by this ordinance if adopted by the council. So I thought it would be helpful if I gave you this pictorial as to what's going on
No,
there.
it does help.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Valcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Nanducci?
Yes. Number 13 is to approve a quote from Lighthouse Communications for a new phone system here at the municipal building at a cost of $16,661. Beth, I'll let you explain that.
Yeah, our system is 20 years old, it's antiquated, you can't get real parts for it anymore. You might be able to get, a recent part, that you don't know how long it's gonna last. And because the system is so old, they don't even do what they, do today as far as technology and things on the cloud and whatnot. So we're looking at replacing this system, and people call in and they get the fax number, or they call in and it rings and it rings and it rings.
Happened to me 4 or 5
Maybe
times today.
the numbers that we thought were actually numbers that you could dial in don't exist anymore or something. But, so I went out to 3 companies. I had one response, which is Lighthouse Communications, and I provided them all of our telephones, fax lines, any information, our bills, pen teledata, anything, that I could give them to help them analyze our situation. And they came back with this cost. Now, it's not ripe enough to vote on yet, but I thought maybe if maybe Joe and I could, work on it together, get some more of our questions answered and whatnot.
Aren't you glad you retired, Joe? Yeah. You got time to think out here.
Joe's retired, so he's the most available person, that we might be able to move on it sooner if it appears to be what we think it is. It's going to present a significant savings.
That was the other thing, and what prompted this, quite frankly, was I couldn't get a hold of Beth, and the phone system is the original from this building, which opened up in September of 97. So that's what prompted it. So I think we'll probably save enough money per month in the first year to pay for it. So technology has come a long way. I mean, I've dialed here, like Beth said, it rings and rings, or I'll dial and I'll get the fax tone. It's aggravating.
Very frustrating.
Those today.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a full-time job, and when I had to the minute to call.
I mean, I had a
Like,
gentleman
it's
say,
about-
was the building closed yesterday? Isn't anybody working?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's basically just to clean it up, and it's 21 years old, so based on Beth and Joe sitting down, can we have a motion to spend this money?
Make the motion.
Second?
Well, what, the motion is just for us to develop the proposal and bring it back to council.
Well,
I wants to.
Yeah, I think we should
I would like
authorize
to-
the expenditure. I
I
mean, she
wanna
put it out for 3
authorize the
people and only one,
Okay.
so let's,
Yeah.
you know,
Not to exceed that amount, so if you
Correct.
can get it
Right.
lower, or you can find something better for less.
Yeah, all right.
do that.
Seconded.
Okay, I'll roll call. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Nuchich?
yes. The consent agenda, does anybody want anything pulled out of the consent agenda? There's a pool membership in there for St. Luke's. So. Thought it was just,
The South Warren Regional Bank account, that's the holdover from the police,
Yeah, it has 7 cents.
7 cents.
7 cents? Oh.
Yeah.
Don't spend it all in one place.
Oh, thanks.
anything else, gentlemen?
That's good.
Need a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
I'll roll call. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Nuchich?
Yes. Council reports. Mr. Polito.
Thank you. LAA, they had a question about responsibility for fields in the off-season, particularly the lower baseball field. There's a pitching mound being installed there that's going to be there year-long, and they had a question as to who's responsible for that in the off-season, especially when there's a men's softball league that applied to use the fields. It was also recommended that they don't use the lower field, they use the upper fields, and I don't believe there's going to be a conflict of games going on with the LAA. And Sean, if you...
Yeah, our season's over the second week of June.
Okay. The men's softball league will be starting in late June and it's on Wednesdays and Sundays.
We've had that softball league now for what, 3-4 years at least?
Yeah, I helped start it for 5 years ago.
And I know there's an issue because the mound is at the lower field where they normally play the games. And LAA would like the men's softball league to be using the upper fields.
The upper fields meaning which one?
The quad.
The quads,
the ones
okay.
before.
All right.
And it's still open for discussion with, can I talk?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Holenka, who's the secretary of the men's softball league, he uses those fields now for his junior team. And we were discussing that, and he feels that they could take care of it. And so maybe we could have further discussion on that. So what we don't want to have is a black eye with the LA, preventing them from having something that's been there the whole time and no longer playing the league, so it doesn't matter.
You know, I'd like to discuss this more fully, and maybe we can incorporate it in that addendum, and
Our only concern is that we have a $400 tarp, essentially,
Yeah.
in the mound. And our concern is it's mid-July, we're kind of out of season, and dirt bikes are jumping off of this mound that Brian and I built for 3 days. So it was one of those things where it's a $1,000 investment. We want to protect our investment. It's now town property, so
Right.
where does that lie?
you know, I understand that, I really do, but how do we feel, or what do we do about kids who just show up and want to play ball?
It's an open park, so.
Yeah, and that's been my feeling too. It's there for everybody, not just the LAA, so.
And we're very comfortable through the end of the season. Our only concern is now it's mid-July. None of us
Yeah.
have responsibilities there, and how does it, does that fall on Brian? And that's just more things for him to manage.
I'll tell you what, we'll talk,
Okay.
I'll understand this better, and we'll get it well done with this addendum here.
Jimmy, anything else?
EDAC, we received an application for a membership,
Okay.
and I'd like to make a motion to appoint Maria Clifford to EDAC.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else?
That's it, thank
That's
you.
it. Mr. Belcarro?
Yes, I was speaking to Brian earlier, so we'll be expecting to get a new sweeper in town by the middle of this month. So our streets will start once again being swept. And followed, not too far behind that, is a new dump truck That's, as a matter of fact, as we speak, they're putting a new bed on the truck, and then that should be delivered here in a timely manner. Getting to the sewer report here, the Stonehenge force main replacement, that project is completed. It just needs to be seeded. So what that says is that all the grant money has been spent, and we did a lot of stuff in this town with that. Some big projects. I believe it was $800,000 grant money? 850,000. In Route 22, there was a sewer overflow a couple months ago, and that was due to excessive grease coming out of Peaburg Mall. So that has to be monitored and maintaining and cleaning on a regular basis.
You're talking about the Hillcrest Mall, not the Phillipsburg Mall?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Did I say Peaburg Mall?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's like, what's there?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm not even so sure we can blame it all on the mall, because you do have some businesses up the line that are also would be contributing to some grease, so.
Right.
Who manages the grease trap program at
Route 22?
Well, for the town?
Chapman.
You sure? I'm asking, because
Oh.
sometimes it's,
Well, Chapman is the one who maintains.
yeah, it's not always, the sewer guy, sometimes it's somebody else, so. I don't know who's assigned specific responsibility for inspecting grease
Chapman-
traps and,
Right, Chapman right now is doing the monitoring of
The health department should be doing the grease traps.
yeah.
Well,
that's
not
what-
inside the
that-
restaurants.
You're talking
but
about the grease
this-
trap?
Yes, in the restaurants,
building?
yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, no, that's a health, I would imagine the
That
health
is the health
department.
department.
Right.
Who, the county or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
County
Right.
does it?
Yep.
So there is excessive grease coming. and,
Yeah, it comes from someplace, and
yes.
it comes from,
Right.
most of the time, restaurants.
Roseberry Street meter, working on a solution there for the meter flow. Again, because of the new pump station that we have less sewage going down
Roseberry.
Roseberry.
Yeah.
So they're working on it to rectify that problem there still, to correct that, so this way there is a correct reading to Peaburg.
Brian, we're regulating Stonehenge as far as the problem that we had in Phillipsburg a couple of years, or a couple of months ago?
If he calls me, I work with him and shut it down.
Okay.
Things. And if I may,
Yes.
also, back to the grease trap, the health department went out a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago now.
Right.
Give or take. I don't know if you want to put somebody to walk around kind of with them or whatever. The answer I got back was we walked in and said that, have you been doing grease traps? And the answer is yes, and that was all I got. So we know we got grease, so I don't know if there's anything.
Yeah, there's some record keeping associated with the program, everything else.
Yeah,
and,
I think we should look into it a little bit.
that program tends to fall off the wagon periodically in all towns.
Correct, correct. Not that, please,
Out of sight, out of mind type thing.
we're spending thousands and thousands.
Okay.
I will mention this, that on Roseberry there, a sewer engineer sent a letter to the sewer engineer in Peaburg to see if we can change out the meter, and he hasn't got a response yet.
Okay.
So if that, would work, the idea.
Which means you're talking about the one at Roseberry or the
Yeah,
one down?
Roseberry.
Okay.
So this way we get an accurate reading there, just by simply changing the meter.
Okay.
That's
Anything
my
else?
report.
Anything else? That's it? Mr. Wright?
I really don't have much. I see the chief here. I wanted to ask him. Chief, I noticed in your report this month, we have 7 lost missing people again. And it seems like every month we have that. Do you think we need to reach out to the sheriff to see if we can get one of those GPS? Do we have a use for one or two? If we're having the same person or something?
Specifically for that, I don't know that, we've had a scenario like that.
Okay.
As of recent. You can never tell when a scenario like that's gonna happen. We just had one last year that, turned out well, but, had we had something like that, it would have been, very useful. But I think most of the, cases that you're, seeing there are not related.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if we had any repeat, people that end up walking away from their homes or something that we could use.
Periodically, but nothing as a reason.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That's all I had. All right. Mr. Pryor?
I really have nothing to report today.
Okay. All right. I think I've said enough tonight. Paul?
Thank you, Mayor. A few things to review with you tonight. The Phillipsburg High School roadway improvement project. As you know, one of my main focuses is to try to get that closed out and get the project accepted by the county and the traffic signal turned over to the county. Certainly, the sinkhole developing the last couple of weeks has been a setback, but there has been some progress. Obviously, the adoption of Ordinance 18-05 tonight is positive. That will allow us to turn over the property to the county, and Verizon and Service Electric and Cable did do cable work going over Belvedere Road, and it was accepted by the county. That was one of the items that we needed to get addressed. The county felt that some of their wiring was interfering with, the traffic signal heads from the left-hand turn lane on Belvedere Road. So we have made some progress. We'll get the sinkhole fixed, and I think we're just down to some legal work at that point to get this thing closed out. So any questions on that?
Did we get all our money from Hebert yet on that, or how are we doing there?
To the best of my knowledge, we have.
There was
I
a hold
believe.
up, them figuring their share for a while based on the property acquisitions?
Yeah, I would defer to Beth at this point, but I think they owed us $233,333. I think that's what the figure was.
Yeah, I have to go back and take a look at that.
Yeah, could you check with Katrina?
I don't know that all these, now the Socaro and all that, there's more expensive, so it's not wrapped up yet, but we'll pull it together.
Okay, Katrina, you'll double check? Thank you.
Speaking of sinkholes, obviously we have a neighborhood that we've had a lot of sinkhole problems since 2015. That's the portion of Brakely Park where we have Harwich Road and Wordsworth Lane. Regarding Harwich Road, I did get the utilities on site this past Monday. They fixed the utility problems which were preventing the curb and sidewalk work near 11, 14, and 20 Harwich Road from being done. So that is behind us. I asked Aqua and their contractors to come in as soon as possible to fix the rest of the road, and I did get a response today that they will be in starting Friday. They have some tree removal and cleanup to do, and then Monday they're going to start the curb and sidewalk work and the pavement work. We have developed a grading plan for the street so it gets put back with a normal crown, and the road isn't all over the place, so it's undrivable. So I think we have that heading in the right direction, and hopefully that work will be done in the next 10 days or so, 10 to 14 days. Regarding Wordsworth Lane, a sinkhole opened up in the last 2 weeks on Wordsworth Lane. We identified where the throat was, and the Public Works Department did an excellent job in making the fix on that sinkhole and getting the roadway back opened up again. I want to compliment Brian and his forces for doing that. Any questions on that particular matter?
No, you kind of stole my thunder, because Brian, I did want to thank you guys on how quickly you got out there and got it fixed. So obviously with the utilities on Harwich, Paul's been very diligent trying to get that done. If it was my property, I'd be very upset about it. I mean, to go out there and see the plywood and the barricade, it's ridiculous. But yeah, and it's been 4 months. It was right after January 1st. So it's time to get it done. And unfortunately, we do have another sinkhole. I saw on my way down here tonight. The good news is for the Delaware, Brakely Park residents, it's not them this time. It's Morris Park. So we'll be digging into that too, I'm sure. So it's part of the area we live in. It's just, but the Brakely Park residents in that particular area have been hit hard over the last 3 or 4 years. So just like to see that come to an end as soon as possible. But again, thank you for what you did out there. I was out there where you guys were fixing that, so it went very well. Paul, you have anything else?
Yes, just continuing on as you know, we have 2 grants that are federally funded to build sidewalks and other improvements on Belvedere Road and Strikers Road. We have $702,000 in grant money. Plenty of authorization. We've started the surveying work in that program. It started last week, so I'm sure it's continuing this week, and we should have some mapping in the next few weeks to begin design. And regarding the design, I'll be getting you a budget for doing the design work on those 2 projects. In addition, we have a grant from the state for Baltimore Street, and I will be getting you an engineering budget to do that work. That's something you'll be able to look at and hopefully approve at your next council meeting on June 6th. And lastly, I was asked between last month's meeting and tonight's meeting to come up with some budget monies for a 2018 resurfacing program. That program would consist of 4th and 5th Street here in Morris Heights, as well as a portion of Cromwell Street and Dean Street. And we're also looking at Greystone, Briarstone, and Maple adjacent to the brass rail. We have done all the reconnaissance in that area, so we know how much pavement's out there and how much curbing's out there and how many drainage structures, things that are like, and just a matter of crafting a budget. So I will have some budget monies to you all, as well as to Kim and Beth on that in the next few weeks here, so we can come up with an appropriation to get all those roadways done.
Okay.
And that's my report for tonight. Thank
That's
you.
going to be an ongoing situation, as I explained earlier, and Country Hills, part of Country Hills is now over 20 years old.
Correct.
21 years
Correct.
old, so I mean, we're going to be looking at them shortly also, so it's going to be an ongoing thing.
Yeah, Mayor, just one more thing, maybe just of note, there was a permit issued to Elizabethtown Gas for their Morris Heights and Rose Hill Heights gas main project, and there was a pre-construction meeting Friday, and what we've worked out is some of the roads that have been done within the last 10 years, they are going to mill curb to curb and resurface those roadways, specifically Guy Road, Brakely Avenue, Edward Street, South 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Streets. Anything that is done in those streets that creates disturbance, they're going to have to mill and resurface curb to curb.
Good.
4th and 5th are affected by those. They're going to just do a standard trench, and obviously later in the year, assuming we put together an appropriation for those roadways, we would end up retopping those roads, so.
I think most of the residents got a mailer from the gas company on there, at least the affected residents.
They should have. If it's going to be a topic for Friday's pre-con meeting, to make sure, if they haven't done that yet, that they do that before the work starts. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Need a motion to approve department reports?
I'll make a second.
Roll call, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Approve payment of bills? You don't need a motion?
Mayor, Chief wants to?
You get them. You get them, okay. Need a motion on the payment of bills?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You want to call it? Okay.
Funny.
Councilman Belcarra?
Yes.
Councilman Toledo?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Carr?
Yes.
Mayor Meeker?
Yes. Chief, you have something for us tonight,
I have no,
other than the report that we have up here?
no, sir.
All right, very good. Folks, questions, comments? Let the lady in the back go first, John. How we doing?
Oh, good. Pam Thomas, 6 Wordsworth Lane. I just thought I'd tack on and thank you for the hole that was on Wordsworth was in front of my property, and Brian really responded very quickly and did a great job. But I also would like to thank the police department, who were there for several hours, making sure that nobody went over that section of the road because it looked like it went underneath, and just wanted to thank them as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Anyone else? Sir?
Eric Nagy, 212 Brakely Avenue. What is going to be done to correct the problems with the tax office? When you need time-sensitive information and you email and you leave messages and you call and there's nobody there and they only work Tuesday from 1:30 to 7, and you call and leave messages that day, then you find out the following day that the person didn't show up that day, and you have to take another day to resolve the problems, it becomes very frustrating, especially when you have issues concerning threats of interest and daily accruing interest on things that need to get resolved. And when you're making an effort to resolve this,
and
you can't, what are you supposed to do? This is a recent problem, because in the past, I've lived here for 24 years in my house, and this has never been an issue in the past, and all of a sudden, within the last several years, this has become a problem. And this is the first time I've had to experience this, but it definitely needs to be fixed. I mean, maybe the new phone system will fix the problem of not having a proper message on the answering machine that the person's not going to be in that day. But it's very frustrating. And on a separate total note, what you had said about Red School Lane, I've had a question on that road for years. Is it a 2-lane road or a 4-lane road? Because nobody seems to have a consensus.
Well, somebody passed me on the right today on Red School Lane, so...
Unbelievable. It happens every day in both directions, and if you decide to make it a 2-lane road, please have it some nice white lines for a shoulder on it so people get the...
That would be my immediate answer to it. Paul, can you enlighten us on what could be done there?
It has the width of a 4-lane road, but I don't think you want to have 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. So I think ultimately, once we do a mill and overlay, we will stripe it for 2 lanes and have a shoulder established.
Yeah,
great.
That makes...
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah.
To address your first question, I'm sure you have heard the township has suspended its current tax collector. It is a personnel matter, so I've asked council not to discuss it in great detail, other than to say that we, as she is a tenured tax collector, we are required to go to the DCA in order to terminate her from that position. So what you're experiencing is the in-between, because the DCA has not told us, yes, you may terminate her, or no, you must keep her. So the person who's covering is an interim person. The township's trying not to expend too much money until we know where we have to go. We don't want to duplicate payments, things like that. So I would recommend that if you have a problem, that you reach out to the clerk's office, Phyllis, Beth, and at least leave a message, and they'll make sure that it gets addressed, or perhaps, you know, something my office can do or the auditors can do. And I would tell anyone who has any concerns about anything regarding their tax or sewer bill to make an appointment, come in, bring your receipts and canceled checks, and the clerk's office or the temporary tax collector will be happy to sit down. And this isn't any time. If you ever have a question about your bill, you should always come in and ask the town about it, and we'll do our best to get to anyone who has any questions.
There are things that they couldn't answer.
I understand that, and that's why, so if you leave a message with them and say, okay, you can't answer this, please have, Danielle is her name, please have her contact me, and so we'll do our best.
And you've left Danielle messages and they have not been returned?
Emailed and left messages, but I wouldn't expect, if she's only working Tuesdays, that they would have returned any other day.
Yeah.
I think this week she has to come in tomorrow instead of...
Yeah, I
she's not.
Mr. Nicky today about her being here.
She'll be here tomorrow, after 1 o'clock.
After 1:30.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions, comments? John?
Yeah, it's just something as far as the tax levy is concerned, is the budget you spoke of tonight the complete tax levy on the town? Does it include school and county taxes? No, it doesn't.
Because not strictly municipal.
All right, okay. And another question is, under the Larkin Associates Autumn Ridge Development, what does TWA stand for?
Treatment Works Approval.
Okay.
It's a fancy name for a sewer extension.
Yeah, all right, okay. And then there's one other thing. On our, on tenancy renewals, I live in Blakely Gardens, and I live at 225 Red School Lane, apartment Y14, and my name is John Betts. We've had numerous occasions of certain pests, namely bed bugs, ending up in certain buildings at times I wouldn't bring it up unless it was like happening to more than a few people. And they've had they have an addendum on the leases. This is tenant agrees that he or she will be responsible for payment of any extermination by the landlord bed bug infestations, that the cost for this treatment shall be due and payable as rent. It basically basically says something to this effect. It says, if you are a tenant with a bed bug problem, it is important for you to know your legal, this is from Legal Services in New Jersey, LSNJ Law. It is important for you to do things you need to do to protect yourself from being blamed for a problem you didn't cause. What your rights are and what you need to depend on the kind of building you live in. It also makes statements as to there is no way a landlord can prove for sure where how the bed bugs got in the apartment, because there's so many ways of hitchhiking bed bugs can get in. If you live in a building with more than one apartment in it, it also it also says in the Housing and Urban Development, at least for housing authorities and also subsidized housing in other units, it says, given special written instruction to local housing authorities. See, local housing authorities and housing agencies have given landlords special instruction dealing with bed bug problems. It's still very important you give this written note, and the landlord written notice about the bed bug problem as soon as possible to the housing authority or the public housing agency, like the Warren County Housing Agency, or if you're a landlord and you live in a privately owned subsidized apartment, that takes in the agency down in Warren County. I called the agency. They did not have such information. They told me to go back to Legal Services in New Jersey. I called them today, spoke to them. And what it comes down to is basically, you can file suit against the action, but one way you can do it is if you're charged for the removal of the bed bugs, you can file to get that money back under the auspice if you can prove that the bed bugs were in more than one apartment, and that the landlord can't prove that the bed bug problem was generated by you. So you can withhold the rent, the additional rent that you have, the charges that were added onto your rent, and your landlord would have to prove that they can't evict you or anything of that nature. If you become evicted, then you can file suit in the courts. You can go to.
Are you having a problem at Brinkley Gardens that you know of?
There are. I wouldn't have brought it up if I only thought there was one place, but there's more. There have been in the last 5 years, maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5, and that's the only reason I'm bringing it up. And I got a call yesterday from one of our tenants, and she's the one who was affected with this, which I had looked for before, something of that nature. And that's the situation. And after the first one showed up on the list, I don't know exactly how many years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, that's when this addendum showed up on our lease renewals. And it does state.
It become very expensive.
Yes.
Going back to my job.
Yes, I understand. I
have to deal with that.
And, I do understand that. So I just wanted to make.
I always tell people, if you got bed bugs, we don't have any beds in the schools.
Yeah.
So they're coming from.
Right.
To deal with it.
Right. So I just want to make you aware of this.
John, I listened to what you said,
Yes.
and I tried to follow it, and
Yes.
it seems to me that if we had a housing authority or there's subsidized housing,
Yes.
maybe we're involved, I don't know, maybe we're not, there's an
Yes.
agency involved, but on the private side, it seems to be between you and your landlord. Am I hearing that right?
It's somewhat, according to Legal Services, between you, your landlord, and the housing agency. I called the housing agency or the housing authority over in Phillipsburg, which doesn't pertain to us. The housing agency, the particular person who I called, and then I left a message, and then I called back 5 minutes later, like at 4 o'clock. I called back a little time after that, and I spoke to the secretary because the individual didn't answer. Then I brought up I read this to the secretary. The secretary went to the person that's down in the housing agency, said they don't have anything, any remedies that are stated that the individual should take. Whereas in this directive, it does state that they have been directed to speak to distribute to the landlords the way to deal with that situation. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay.
And I will try to bring it up if we have a rent levying board meeting this month. It's just supposed to be one. I don't know.
I agree, they should be aware of it if that's,
Yeah.
you know, an endemic problem.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I even brought it up. It was just one, I was gonna let it go, but it's started to develop into more than one. And it's like, both individuals were on housing assistance, and one individual is a 91-year-old woman. So that's the thing, and
Anything else, John?
no, that's it for now.
Thank you.
That's it for now. Thanks very much, council.
Anyone else? Brian?
Brian Weeks, but it's kind of work related. You're talking about running gas pipe and everything, all right, through Brakely, all through by Linda and Guy and all that. A couple residents had asked me why by Oxford and those couple houses going up have no gas, but everybody else does. Is that something maybe, you know, as a township we should be looking at to see if they can move that pipe up there if we're dealing with them?
We can ask them Friday. They are building gas mains on Enmore, which is one of the two small streets that runs between Brakely and Stokoe.
Right.
I think Oxford's closer to Belvedere Road, correct?
Correct, it's the next crossroad over.
Yeah, we can ask them Friday.
Yeah, it's a couple people have asked me if we're ever gonna get gas there, and I think now's the
Well,
time.
in the end, we don't control that.
No, but if we're
People
talking.
can make requests through service, and there's a whole procedure that's regulated by the BPU for that,
Okay.
or it's my understanding.
Okay, I just wanted to bring it up.
We'll ask on Friday, Brian, so.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Seeing none, I have a need to go back into executive session, so it's kind of an official way of kicking you all out. So, thank you very much for coming out. Appreciate it. Take care, Paul. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Gary.
I had to take a look.
Give me my back a chance to do
Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, if we can be maintained, I think I don't, unless we get that, they're adults.
It was good to hear.
But you guys did what, you did recommend, or request that they did.
The sooner you leave, the sooner I get started. Your job.
Phone call.
Anybody, I haven't been back to work. I just got back.
You need to get to him and tell him.
Oh,
Yes, sir. You want to see me or somebody knows something? You want to see me or somebody knows something? What's up?
That auto parts place used to cut so apart and like,
Well, it's, personnel matters and stuff like that, stuff that we can't divulge to the public. We can't divulge it to the public.
my mother did at the diner.
As Katrina always says, when the need for confidentiality no longer exists, we'll let you know what's going on. So, but you're smart enough, you've been around a while, you can read between the lines.
I was like,
So, that's where we're at. All right? Thanks for coming out as always. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sir? Good to see you again. Good to see you.
I think we don't.
Nice to see you, Harvey.
Do I have 2 seconds, please?
sure.
All right, how are you?
Yeah, one, two.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Did I ask for Twitter? I asked him and he said, let me talk to you in a minute, and then I didn't talk to him. He wasn't into it. But I'll talk to him.
And the only reason I asked him to push for it is because I'm supposed to produce my SOPs in 30 days.
Okay. I'll add it to my list.
No problem.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it. All right, we need a motion to go back into the executive session?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Let's make it quick.
Hey, let's get out of here.
I said that's my favorite the other day.
What's that?
Sorry, can't go wrong with Friday.
Hey, go all right.
I said, you know what Mayor Mangucci said? Can't go wrong with Friday.
Does he remember my name?
He does.
He does, yeah, only because I signed a
He said,
check.
well, because you texted him, and he said next time you get a check with me, I was just gonna like pose it and send you the picture.
So we need a motion to authorize Beth to
Hire part-time
hire
supporting clerk
part-time keyboarding clerk
within our salary range.
within the salary range of the keyboarding clerk.
Motion.
On an interim basis, do we have to say that?
Well, part-time, so.
Part-time?
Up
Which we
to,
can let go whenever.
up to
we
8
like.
hours a week at this point?
There's no tenure.
Yeah, I would say 8.
Up to 8 hours a week at this point.
Oh, okay.
Two 4-hour days.
2 4-hour days.
Sure.
All right? So, having said that, we have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second?
Okay. Beth?
Okay, Councilman Belcaro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Councilman Breyer?
Yes.
Mayor Mangucci?
Yes. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.